Hey everyone, I'm back and I'm bringing you the second part of a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Summit challenge. This time, beating the 200cc staff ghosts in the 48 booster course pass levels. Like last time, note that I did not research shortcuts or world record strategies. Other than watching the ghost replays, I relied only on myself to find the best approach for each ghost. Also, like last time, I kept rolling with the Gold Mario all gold setup. Alright, let's get into it. The first level is Paris Promenade. And in what will become a rarity, this is a tour track that is fairly easy. It took under 10 minutes to clear this one. Next was Toad Circuit, where I encountered what would become a common dilemma, whether to take the faster route with less coins or the slower route with more coins. I chose the former and easily cleared this one despite only collecting 3 coins. On Choco Mountain, I held a 2-second lead in the final lap, just to get denied by this bat. No matter, as I had another chance a few minutes later and avoided the pesky bats this time around. The Coconut Mall Ghost has lots of wide turns and isn't very optimized. I was able to take advantage and build a large lead going into the final lap, which I was able to hold on to despite this horrific crash. The Golden Dash Cup was over already and it didn't provide any real challenge. Was I going to breeze through the booster course pass tracks? Moving on to the Lucky Cat Cup, it was sure seeming like it. Tokyo Blur was another not-so-difficult tour track, and I got the victory even with a wall hit near the end. With no offense intended to Ninakira, the Shroom Bridge Ghost is not very good at all. I won by over 5 seconds, my widest margin of all 96 levels, despite a couple wall hits and this crash just before the finish line. Sky Garden wasn't too hard either, although I did have this narrow defeat before pulling it off. Ninja Hideaway is an interesting track. It has so many different routes that it can be tricky to pick the optimal one. For all 3 of my laps, I simply copied the Ghost's second lap, as it was its fastest by a good margin. This meant I didn't collect many coins, but it didn't seem to hurt me. It still took over 40 minutes to settle on my route and get all the turns down, but once I did, I had a pretty easy victory by over 2.5 seconds. Another cup down, and the difficulty level was still low, but things were about to change. New York Minute, like many tour tracks to follow, provided a real test, the first of the challenge. The Ghost accelerates much faster than me out of the gate, then quickly gets its top speed up by collecting coins, creating the feeling that there is no way to catch up. My first approach was to avoid the first 4 coins of the track, taking the inside of the curve instead. As time went on, I realized this may be an instance where it's worthwhile to take the slower line to collect more coins. After nearly an hour of attempts, things started turning around for me as I tightened my lines, attempted to collect the initial 4 coins, and introduced an orange drift here on each of the first 2 laps, which the Ghost doesn't use. I made quick work of Mario Circuit 3 by using my mushrooms in a different spot than the Ghost. On Calamari Desert, I drove off the road right before the finish line, but still won the race. Waluigi Pinball is not particularly hard, but at 2 minutes long, it is a decent length of time to go without making a major mistake. On Sydney Sprint, I failed at this shortcut and lost the lead, but I stayed strong on the rest of the track to defeat the Ghost anyway. I couldn't resist taking the shortcut on all 3 laps of Snowland, even though the Ghost only takes it on the final lap. It's not even clear to me if this so-called shortcut saves any time. After clearing Mushroom Gorge, only 1 level remained in the Propeller Cup, Sky High Sundae. This Ghost infuriated me. I simply could not find anywhere to gain an advantage on it, and was almost always driving from behind. I even experimented with this jump, but concluded that it didn't save time. After grinding out attempts for 40 minutes, I experienced my narrowest finish ever. That's right, I won by 2 milliseconds. Let's take another look. Starting off the Rock Cup is London Loop, and in true tour fashion, the difficulty would be staying high. Although many of the tour tracks do have well-optimized ghosts, I think one of the biggest factors in their high difficulty is that each of the 3 laps is unique. This means you need to commit 3 times as many turns, lines, angles, jumps, drifts, etc. to memory. And you only accumulate practice on each section of track at 1/3 the rate of a repeating track. In London, I needed an hour of practice until I started seriously threatening the Ghost. The Ghost uses 2 mushrooms to clear this grass patch on the first lap, but I managed to get across with a single mushroom, leaving me a bonus for later. Although I'm behind, I'm not driving as if I want to catch up. In this section, you can see 1, and then 2, and then 3 different wall hits. I'd reached the 3rd lap nearly a full second behind. Here I use my bonus mushroom from earlier. It helps narrow the gap, but doesn't eliminate it. After cutting across the grass much more tightly than the Ghost, I'm in total control of the race. But wait for it. Here comes wall hit number 4. On Boo Lake, I chose the fast route on my first lap in exchange for less coins, and then tried to hold on to my lead for the rest of the race. Hold on I did, with less than 5/100ths of a second to spare. On Rock Mountain, I blow my narrow lead on the home stretch after hitting the wall. Wait, I won? I still don't understand this one. It looks guaranteed to be a loss. With 3 of my last 4 wins coming by less than 5/100ths of a second, I was wondering when my luck would run out. I used a strong final lap on Maple Treeway to win by a comfortable margin. Berlin Byways was a solid ghost that took some sharp driving to take down. But like the other tour tracks, the hardest part here was committing all 3 unique laps to memory. On Peach Gardens, I deviate from the ghost by boosting through the flowers near the start instead of collecting coins. This strategy paid off, leading to a healthy lead in my final lap. The Piranha ended that attempt, but I succeeded a few minutes later. I once again benefited by favoring the shorter route over coins on the first lap of Merry Mountain by skipping the quarter pipe at the top of the ski lift. After a pretty easy Rainbow Road, I moved on to Amsterdam, the next tour track. This is another tough ghost in a level with many sharp turns. It seemed that no matter how well I was racing, the ghost would pass me underwater on the second lap. After about 40 minutes of trying, I used a strong finish to get the job done. Riverside Park went down without a fight, and I moved on to Deluxe Summit. I cleared this one in just 7 minutes, using a half-pipe trick to pull ahead at the end. Closing out the Fruit Cup, I came to Yoshi's Island. It's a fun and charming track, but oh my goodness, did it ever give me trouble. This track is home to the infamous flying question mark cloud, which, when activated on any given lap, rolls out a red bridge in midair that saves at least a second. Seems like a no-brainer, but geez, is this cloud ever hard to hit. It is continually moving, bobbing up and down, sliding left to right, which means it is in a different spot every time you come to it. At times, it can be in spots that are not possible to hit. Even after activating the stupid thing, it is possible to either miss landing on the red bridge or drive off of it, both of which happened to me at different points. But hold on! The ghost only takes the shortcut on its final lap. The first 2 laps, it bypasses the question mark cloud. Perhaps then, I could optimize the rest of the track enough to avoid taking the shortcut altogether, or just pull it off once on the final lap. Or perhaps not. Turns out this ghost is highly optimized as well, and trying to keep up with it gave me fits. After more than an hour of attempts, I had this run where I activated the shortcut on my first lap, which was sufficient just to gain a minor lead. Without the shortcut, I slightly increased my lead heading into the final lap, where I know I'll need tight driving as well as nailing the shortcut to have a chance to hold on. Bangkok Rush saw the difficulty level drop back down. It was one of the more doable tour tracks and went down willingly after I learned the course. I mess up this drift near the end of Mario Circuit, but still manage to get the victory. The Waluigi Stadium Ghost looks intimidating with its fancy route and all its half-pipe tricks. My big innovation was going straight and simple through the half-pipe section. Yep, pretty boring, but effective as I won by over 2 seconds. Singapore Speedway is the second tour track of the Boomerang Cup, and like Bangkok, its Ghost is a nice break from the difficulty of many of the other tour tracks. Athens Dash restored the formula for a difficult tour Ghost. The track requires lots of tight lines and sharp turns, with these stairs in particular being a nuisance to ascend without clipping anything. Plus the Ghost is highly optimized, requiring a strong race with rapid coin collection early on just to keep pace. It took nearly an hour of trying to reach this point, where I entered the final lap slightly behind. Daisy Cruiser was straightforward. Moonview Highway wasn't bad either, as I won despite a wall hit and missed booster pad. Squeaky Clean Sprint was the next challenging track that had me stuck for nearly an hour. This was another Ghost that was so difficult to build any sort of a lead against. Collecting coins early was critical. The Ghost's final lap is its best, and so it felt mandatory for me to enter the final lap with a lead so I'd have a chance to hold on. Now on to Los Angeles Laps, another difficult tour track with a speedy Ghost. The turning point for me came when I abandoned the Ghost's route early on in the race. The Ghost takes this convoluted route to collect more coins and requires a mushroom to clear this grass patch. I switched my approach to go for the tighter, simpler route with less coins, which required me to use my mushroom earlier, but also allowed me to build up a purple drift to clear the grass patch. Approaching the 1 hour mark, I had this rough stretch in the second lap that nearly caused me to restart, but I persisted on to see what would happen. Sunset Wilds doesn't allow much room for error, but it's a short and simple track, and ultimately not that hard. Koopa Cape was another tough ghost, requiring sharp lines and lots of practice. One thing that seemed to give me an edge over the ghost was adding in this boost off the halfpipe. To close out the Cherry Cup, I reached Vancouver Velocity. Oh wow, what an ordeal this was. I had beaten 85 200cc staff ghosts up to this point, and Vancouver would surpass them all for difficulty and time invested. I spun my wheels on this one for an hour and 45 minutes. Funnily enough, when I watched this ghost, I thought to myself that it looked pretty simple and beatable. What a bad judge of racing I am. I won't list all the factors that make a track and ghost difficult, as I'm sure you've heard me list them off enough times now. I won't even show you all my mistakes and close finishes. I'll just leave you with the rest of the race where I was finally victorious. For the astute viewer, you should be asking yourself exactly one question right now. How on earth did I hit the blue ramp to open my glider on the second lap? I'll take it. Shaken by Vancouver, I went on to Rome Avanti, where I thought the ghost looked intimidating and difficult. Turns out I was a bad judge again, as I got through this race no problem, even with some mistakes. DK Mountain required liberal use of my brakes, but went down without any fight, with me defeating the ghost by over 4 seconds. After another easy track in Daisy Circuit, I moved on to Piranha Plant Cove to close out the Acorn Cup. For a reason I couldn't figure out, this ghost was way faster than me on the final lap, but I was able to build up enough of a lead on the first 2 laps that it didn't matter. On to the challenge's final cup, the Spiny Cup. Madrid Drive was the final tour level, and thankfully was one of the easier ones. I cleared it with several wall hits. Rosalina's Ice World was another instance where I chose a faster first lap instead of collecting more coins. This track was a little tricky, but didn't take too long. Bowser Castle 3 also went down quickly without a fight. The last 7 tracks since Vancouver Velocity had all been fairly easy, and my confidence was riding high heading into the challenge's final level, Wii Rainbow Road. Any hope I had of soon finishing this challenge took a backseat to my new reality. This ghost was hard. Like, really hard. Of all 95 200cc ghosts that I had already beaten, none of them, even Vancouver, held a candle to this ghost. After an hour of attempts, I was still simply not keeping up with the ghost, and couldn't really figure out where I was going wrong. I stuck with the spirit of the challenge by relying on my own ingenuity and not looking at the approach used in world record times, which would have revealed at least one useful time save. I considered trying different character and kart combinations, but ditching my all-gold setup on the very last track was not appealing to me. I did notice one obvious reason for the ghost's fast performance. It collects 6 coins on this quarter pipe jump near the beginning of the race, and it has 9 coins by the time it hits this boost ramp. The ghost nabbed 6 coins by clearing the entire bottom row, and somehow also grabs the final coin of the top row. In all my attempts, I only got 6 coins from the quarter pipe jump a single time, and it was a fluke. Even 5 coins was uncommon. 4 coins was usually a reasonable amount to hope for, and I'd hoped to grab the 2 coins prior to the quarter pipe, as well as 2 more coins prior to the boost ramp, for a total of 8 coins. As I continued to fail, I noted this was the first time across the entire challenge that I was not enjoying myself. But like every time before, even though it took longer this time, incremental improvements were gradually adding up, and at just shy of the 2-hour mark, I received a glimmer of hope. I won the first lap for the first time ever. Half an hour after this, my incremental improvements were continuing to mount, this time winning the first lap by over half a second, a margin that sounds small but would have been unthinkable a couple hours prior. I maintained this lead going into the final lap and was having visions of actually pulling off the victory. Disappointment aside, my confidence was rising and I knew I had a legitimate shot to beat this ghost. As my time investment in this track neared the 3-hour mark, I reached the final lap with my biggest lead yet, over 3/4 of a second. The lap was going great and all I had to do was boost up to the finish without falling off. I quickly brushed that off and got back to it. After a couple more attempts, I entered the final lap with a slimmer lead, destined to finally defeat this ghost. I was destined to defeat the ghost, but not that time, as it was 14 milliseconds too slow. Okay, no more tricks. A short while later, I finally pulled it off. If you recall, beating the 200cc staff ghosts in the 48 base levels earned a 5 on the Summit Challenge scale. Where will the Booster Course Pass staff ghosts land on this scale? This challenge scores a 6 out of 10. Compared to the base levels, there were noticeably more tracks that took close to an hour or longer to beat, with wee Rainbow Road topping the whole thing off as a huge final hurdle. That's it for this video. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you haven't yet seen me beat the staff ghosts in the 48 base levels, definitely check it out. Feel free to leave me a comment to let me know what type of video game content you'd like to see next. Bye for now.